In this video, we're upgrading this head unit to this. So we've done one of these videos before where we've upgraded the F150 radio to a full touchscreen, and I'll link to that video on this video here. So throughout this video, I'm actually going to use those clips for that video because when Cameron shot it, he had multiple angles and it'd be a lot better experience for you to understand what to do. I only have one camera here, so I'm just going to point out the nuances, like the differences as it pertains to the Raptor version compared to the regular F150. As you can note, Raptor here, or we have the Bang & Olufsen system, the multiple camera view, the 360 view, and all of that. So there's going to be some minor differences, especially when we get down behind the dash and dig into things. There'll be some minor differences, and I'll throw those clips up on the screen. But for a better experience and more camera angles for you, I'll throw Cameron's clips up on the screen for when he did the regular F150. But to start, the very first difference here that I want to point out, and I promise you it's not a big deal, is the Bang & Olufsen system. And this portion is raised. You know, it's a small nuance, but the process for getting this off is exactly the same. You still want to pry up on the bottoms here, and it just pops out. There's just 3 to 4 clips on there that just need to pop out, and it's the exact same. It just looks a little bit different because it's raised. Don't pull up on the side here. Start in the front and work it around and then pull it up, and it's exactly the same. So I'm now going to cut to Cameron's disassembly of the dash here.
Hopping in the truck, we're going to want to remove the mesh above the speaker right here. So you're going to take your plastic non-marring pry tool on one side. There's 4 clips. Let's start in this corner here. You're going to hear that pop. That's totally normal. Okay. It's looking good. Now you can put a little pressure with your hand, but get in the corners with this tool because it's got all 4 corners. And then this comes out like that. You would normally get a 7mm ratchet like this, normal, but don't let this intimidate you. I have a power one to save me time because I am working on cars a lot more than most. So it pulls it out of there real quick for me. You just want to ratchet those 7mm out by hand. And then this whole piece should come up from the back. This one's not releasing. So then once you get it like this, you can lift it up from the back. Take your pry tool, and there's clips right here. You're gonna come up like that, all the way across. Then we're gonna have a wire to unplug from the speaker. It's got a push clip. We can set this out of the way.
One thing I do want to note here before going too much further, it's probably good to put your car on a flat surface, put the parking brake on, and then, especially for the Raptor, put it in neutral. That way you have a little bit more room to pull the dash out when you get there. In the regular F150 video, he's got it up on the stock, so it's a little bit easier. You got more room to pull that out. So I'd suggest putting it in neutral. That way you can get everything out a little bit easier.
So this is what you need to disconnect. Now we have 2. Oh wow, someone took this apart already when they worked on my dad's truck and didn't put that back. So there's usually there's 2 7mm. There's only 1 on this truck. Pull this whole thing out with a little bit of pressure. Then it will slide out, and now we have some wires on the back side of this. 1 by 1. Tab on the bottom side of these multi-pin. So let's go ahead and pull these out. So for these ones, you've got this little tab inside right there. Right here, push down on it, and it will release. Now we can have easier access. So this one, this weird one, you just gotta press on the bottom down here. And then this is free. Next thing we gotta do is get rid of this screen. 7mm. I need some extensions. Should be 3 on each side.
Okay, so one thing I want to call out before we go any further within the other video. So one of the key difference here with the Bang & Olufsen system, we don't have that CD head unit the same way that the regular F150 does. So in that Raptor kit, or in the Bang & Olufsen kit, you have two brackets. They have a big L on it and an R on it for left and right. I'll show you those brackets in just a moment, but they're going to go right here. So we don't want to take this unit out. But I just want to call that out before we go any further in the regular F150 video.
And then while I'm at it, I'm going to get the CD player ones down below. Pull this screen out, then we can start disconnecting these wires with single push pins. So you push that tab down, and then you can release the gray lever and pull this out. And the blue ones have a tab as well. That just need to be pushed in and pulled. And then our screen is free. We have our wires dangling. This is all good. Next up, we're gonna remove the CD player. Now this has like a rubber tab in the back, so it doesn't come out as easy. So I'm gonna apply some pressure with my hand inside here. And then I can get to the back side to push these tabs in, pull each of these wires out. It's all just looking for that tab to push in and pull out, every single one of them. I'm not even showing you super up close other than what the 360 camera is getting, because it's not rocket science. Anyone that shows you too up close, I feel like it stresses you out more, and next thing you know, it's like you don't want to do it. It's not hard. Anybody can do this type of install.
All right, so we got our brackets installed here. You can see this is how the head unit sits in there. And now we've got our bracket here with the little knob here, or whatever you want to call that, hanging down. Same with the left-hand side, hanging down. So I'm going to keep these loose for now because I might need to adjust them as we start putting things together here. But let's start getting these wires back connected here. All right, so I had to do this off camera because you really have to get in front of this thing to maneuver it. So what you essentially need to do after you get those brackets on, the unit, as you remember, is sat horizontally down here. What you're going to have to do is put these brackets on. I would suggest, just from personal experience, bending these tabs to give you a little bit more wiggle room. And you'll want to fix the unit, or get it in here, so that the plugins, the connectors, are more towards kind of you rather than the back. And then you'll want to turn it upright so that it's fixed down here, and then pull those two tabs out and fix them right here at the bottom where the previous four were. So essentially you're taking the unit that was horizontal, and if you see on this image here, and you'll have this readout as well, so you don't have to see this tiny screen, but it's fixed upright. And now we're going to connect the blue cable to the very top there. Now that we have this all connected here, we start connecting our main harness to our Bang & Olufsen kind of unit down here. I'm going to cut back to Cameron's video where he's plugging everything up for the regular F150, because now it's all very simple plug and play, and you can watch that video. He does a very thorough job of telling you which connection goes where.
From here, we just gotta plug everything in. So let's grab our kit. I have everything with me here. Okay, so have a wiring harness. The main one, which is the big one. Don't be intimidated at all. So it's gonna go up in this top corner right here. But I wanna hook up all the other ones first. So let's set this aside. So now we're just gonna look for the different size plugs and find the obvious things. So there's one that goes in the one with the gray clip right there. So this other big one goes down here to the bottom, clips in nice. I have one more big black one, clips down to the AC controls-ish area also. So let's grab our wiring harness and look what's left. Then we have a little micro USB that plugs in also. That's its own adapter. That's ready to go. In the packaging you have these orange clips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The OEM head unit. I'm gonna pull these orange clips off one by one. up here, be careful. And then I'm just gonna move them over to each one of these tabs. That fits good. I'm gonna get this big towel because I know I'm gonna shimmy around a lot. So I'm gonna put this here and set our brand new expensive head unit, not too expensive though. Right here, I'm gonna start plugging things in. Our 2 big plugs left over is gonna go into the new head unit. That's gonna clip in. Kind of have to dance with those wires a little bit. And this is gonna go top corner. Then we're gonna plug in our RCA for the camera. And we need to plug this pin in for that micro. These right here, these little white ones, you just look how many pins they have and you look in here and count. So I see 4 pins, so that's gonna go in here. Then your radio wire goes in here. Go ahead on your factory head unit. There's tabs on the back side of this one. You're gonna press on each side and push the buttons through the front. Is pinch the sides of them together and then push it through the front. And it takes a little bit of force on one side. And then once you figure it out, the buttons will pop out. You got the traction control on the left, so all you got to do is just go in here, pop these in, then our auto start stop and our hazard lights, and then they're functional on top of this head unit. I'm looking through my box of goodies, and the last thing in here that we're going to want to use with this specific vehicle, which you have a bunch of other wires. You've got a SIM card if you wanted to have a dedicated SIM card for this like Android head unit style, so you could have cellular device to run things like YouTube and Netflix without using your phone's Wi-Fi, which you can. So not many people are going to use a cellular SIM card. This connector right here is if you had a fully aftermarket audio system. This is for probably a different year of F150 that I have that has this adapter for the camera. We have a 4-pin to USB, so if we wanted to add one, we could, which we don't need to. And then I have this GPS right here that I'm going to put in the dash behind. That plugs in on one of these red nipples. It's the top one. You push it on and then you thread it on so it can get GPS signal when you're out in the boonies. So you can lengthen this, take off the sticky, and then you can stick it back here in the corner. It'll be, you can find a place to adhere it to behind the dash. To make sure that your steering wheel controls work and the volume knob works down here on this new head unit, we want to make sure that we get some small things back here. So one thing I want to make clear is that I have figured out that the yellow and blue no longer need that. We can tuck those back. Those two are good. As far as the antenna that goes to the black wire right here that has a little bit of tension, we have our micro USB. And so what's key is that in this main wiring harness, you will find this little small white guy in the main wiring harness. And you're going to come up here and put the tab in a downward position, and it's going to pop in here. And that's where you're going to get all your steering wheel controls and such. Then I found that there's a blue wire that has 2 ends. I'm going to hook those together. That connection just pushes together. It'll make a solid connection. There's some heat shrink there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I have a purple cord that's sitting still I don't need for this truck. And anytime you see some of these little white plugs, it's going to go to the white part of the new head unit. So let's do this together. We've got the GPS cable here. We have our antenna going to that black one. The blue and yellow that are similar, that are the single pin round, those do not get used. This big adapter that makes it work connected to the wiring harness, those have the connections below. We have our yellow RCA connected to each other for the camera. And then we're going to plug everything else in where the connectors, where they all match up. We look for the white ends, the small ones, and they go right here in the head unit right there. We have our 2 lower black factory cables. And then from there, you're pretty much good to go. We're going to keep these wires up here to plug into our traction control, hazard, auto start, stop, and all that. So I'm going to push my towel under here. And I'm going to start threading some of these cables in here, making sure I have everything intact, and kind of setting it in from the bottom first. I'm gonna look down here where these tabs are gonna go. Before I push that in, I wanna make sure and connect my buttons up here, which is really tight. That one pops in. And then this one pops in. We're working. So now, the rest of the way, make sure the cables are okay. Push this in starting at the bottom. Looking for cables here in the way. All is good. Push it in. Should snap all the way in. Now I'm going to test my AC controls. That works. Then I'm going to test my volume knob here. That works. Then we can get this, test my media button. It's working great. Perfect. We do have some things to do to get the reverse camera, but let's put this back together all the way.
Now we're back in the Raptor. So the one thing I'm going to do differently, and I just wanted to jump back on screen here for a second, is run the microphone. I'm going to see if this works. So if you're watching in real time, don't do this. But I just want to get it probably right here, because I've noticed the stock Raptor or the stock microphone in this thing isn't that great. When I've talked to people on the phone, they say, hey, there's a lot of wind noise. And I haven't heard it from their side of things, but they have mentioned it. So I'm going to put this microphone right here. That might look ugly and might need to relocate it later, but I think that's fine for now. So there's just a little microphone hook up on the back that you'll connect that in. And then I'm just going to place that right there and see if that works. So all that's left here is buttoning up these screws up top and putting our tray back in place, and I'll cut to Cameron so he can kind of show you how that all goes into place, and then we'll cut back and show you what the head unit looks like in the Raptor. Should be about the same thing, but just to give you another perspective now that we have a little bit, some other features on here like the 360 camera and things of that nature.
So remember, we have the black screws. You should have two. I only have one, remember? Then this is gonna pop back in here. We need to connect this cable first on the back side for the speaker. That clips in. Then remember, these clip on top first. Last thing is the cover for the speaker. We have the rounded side facing us.
So now we have a full modern looking head unit or radio in our F150 Raptor, and I can tell you it's so much better than the previous screen. There's a lot of different things to go through, and once again I'll clip to Cameron's video here in just a minute because he goes through everything that you need to know, and I don't want to bore you, especially if you've seen an F1 video or the Ford F150 video before. I don't want to do the same exact stuff here, so I'm just going to clip to that video. That way you can check it out. He goes through absolutely everything. The one thing that I do want to address here, my main concern was I don't got my buttons for my heated seats and my cooled seats. That's completely okay. They're all up here. So in the climate settings, you can see over, when you scroll over on the top here, we've got heated seat, and you still have those three settings there. There's 2 and then 1, and then we have cooled seats as well. So that fan's going to kick on. Then we've got 2, 1. So all those settings still work. You just have them on a touch screen now. And now we can fully connect to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay from Bluetooth from our phone without having to connect to the USB, because the USBs down here, at least for this car, are shot. So it's really annoying trying to drive. I usually had my phone right here for my GPS. So now I can connect via Bluetooth and have my full heads-up display. But let me clip over to Cameron's video here so you can check out how everything works within this heads-up display. If you want this same radio, we've got a link down in the description at karmaspeed.com. You can go grab it. It's 100% free shipping. We'll ship it right to your door. You can just go in there, make the setting. So if you have the Bang & Olufsen You can select that setting. It is a little bit more just because of the CAN bus or whatever. I don't know that world too much, but just a little bit extra. If you don't have that system, you can select just the base without the Bang & Olufsen system. It's a little bit cheaper for you. But yeah, you can click the link down below and then grab this unit. But let me jump over to Cameron's video so you can see the whole heads-up display navigation.
Now let me show you what you need to change on the screen so you don't panic. Now what you're looking at, AC controls here, you have all your apps in here. Remember, this is an Android driven device, so you have windows that you can swipe away to clear. So if it starts to bog down or starts to act weird, you need to open all windows and swipe or clear them all. And on the weird day it's not responsive at all, or it's just really slow, pull down from the top of the screen, you'll see Wi-Fi brightness and all these things. Look for the dot that has the button that says restart. It'll boot it down, restart it, and it will act fresh. It'll clear the cache and the memory and everything, so it's super responsive. So know that that is there. You have the windows you need to swipe away. If you have too many apps open and it starts to bog down the computer inside of it, or you pull down from the top and you hit restart. Know that those are there. This is key with these Android devices. They work really well, but sometimes the RAM or the cache gets loaded up and it just needs to be cleared out and taken care of. So know those are there when you buy one of these. It'll save you a lot of grief and a lot of kind of questioning. Why isn't this working as good as it used to? I want it to work normal. One of these two options will fix it every single time. You have a volume here as well as your knob and your tune for your radio and media selection. But let's go, and you have your radio here. So let's go to settings. You can click Wi-Fi on, then you hit more, and then you can select your network. So we're going to toggle off for now, but if you wanted to use YouTube and stuff, you totally can while driving, which is rad for road trips. This is when, if you had a SIM card in here, you would just have data all the time, and so whatever apps you have, like YouTube, Chrome, Google Play Store, anything you want to download, YouTube Music, anything, you just don't need your phone at all. You could just run it with this software only, but most of you are going to do Apple CarPlay, so none of this applies, except for once we get Apple CarPlay going, then it doesn't. That's all you really care about, so bear with me. But that's there, and that's kind of cool for some people who maybe live in their car. Brightness mode auto, you can choose different themes. Let's go dark, sound, speed compensating, volume control, all these settings. So your back button is right here if you ever want to go back. Let's go to original car, show temperature, yep, 82 degrees outside. Steering wheel, it already was working from the get-go, so I didn't have to do anything. But if you needed to program something custom, like you wanted to change your volume up to your mute button or something of that nature, you have all these controls that you can do that. You hit start, press the button on your steering wheel, and then you do it here. So this is a way you can customize it. So we're going to go back, but just know that that's there. So you want to go to temp, norm, change that to Fahrenheit if you're like us in the US. Reverse, this is important. So you can attach like 360 cameras and stuff to things like this. But if you scroll down, reverse system selection, this truck, when you put it in reverse, there's a display. But keep in mind, when I'm in PAL, it's all wonky. So I was panicking when I first got into it, but I realized it's NTSC. So make sure you figure that out. I just did trial and error all of them until I got to that one and realized it was good. Reversing volume control, you can have it mute. So I'm just going to put it low. I know my dad won't want it all the way off. Time and date, went ahead and chose what was needed. So if you want to connect your phone, you're going to need to go to Bluetooth, and then you're going to connect your phone here. This is the device name, here's the pin. Then you're going to go home once it's connected, and you're going to swipe until you find T-Link 5. T-Link 5, and now it's wirelessly connected via Apple CarPlay to my iPhone right here. We have our AC controls here. We can also use the buttons down below, and it just works like any other Apple CarPlay now. So here's what your maps would look like. It's huge. This would be great for going on road trips. These are game changers for your day-to-day life. Now you have this huge screen here.
All right, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. But before I let you go, we have to do the piece of resistance here and remove the screen protector. And there we go. Nice, fresh, new head unit that actually connects to Bluetooth. So that's awesome. So once again, links down in the description if you want to grab one of these. If not, greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And we'll catch you on the next one.